Okay, this is 1314, College Algebra. We're dealing with synthetic division and long division. Chapter 3, Section 2. I'm David Divell from Lone Star College, Montgomery. Okay, synthetic division. Suppose you have x cubed minus 2x plus 8 divided by x plus 1. With synthetic division, you take the coefficients of your polynomial, which are 1x cubed, no x squared, negative 2x plus 8, and that's all you keep. 1, 0, negative 2, 8. And then you take the opposite of what's in parentheses over here that you're dividing by, which is minus 1. Okay, then you bring down the first number. Again, those are the coefficients. Bring down the very first number, 1. You multiply, negative 1 times positive 1, and it writes in the next column. Then you add, you combine these together. 0 and negative 1 makes negative 1. Then you just keep repeating the process. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 2. That's going to be positive 1, sorry. And negative 2 and positive 1 is negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. And you add 8 and 1 makes 9. And then this number down here is going to be your remainder. So your final polynomial is going to be x squared, because it's a 1, minus x minus 1 plus 9 over x plus 1. And your power was a third power, so it reduces to a second. When you divide, the power reduces by 1. Okay, suppose we have negative 8x cubed plus 4x squared plus 5x, and we're dividing by x minus 3. Same process. 3 goes on the outside. Again, it's the opposite. Negative 8, positive 4, positive 5, and 0. Don't forget the 0 where the constant is. You have a third power, second power, first power, and a constant. Okay, bring down the negative 8. 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. Combine gives you negative 20. 3 times negative 20 is negative 60. Combine, negative 55. 3 times negative 55 is negative 165. Combine, it's negative 165. That's your remainder. So we're going to have negative 8x squared. Again, we start with a cube, so it's negative 8x squared minus 20x minus 55, and then a minus 165 over x minus 3. Your 165 was your remainder. Okay, there's what's called a remainder theorem, and this is a quick way to find out what the remainder is without doing long or synthetic division. And this says that anytime you're dividing, to find the remainder, if you'll take the opposite of what's in parentheses and plug it into the function, that will give you the remainder. So suppose you want to find the remainder of 3x to the 5th minus 4x plus 5. Take the opposite of minus 2, which is positive 2, and plug it in. It's going to be 3 times 2 to the 5th minus 4 times 2 plus 5. And whatever you get for the answer will be the remainder. So it's 2 to the 5th, which is 32, times 3 minus 8 plus 5 is 96, minus 3 is 93. That's it. Now, suppose we start with k as negative 2. That's what we're dividing by. So you put your negative 2 out in the front. 3, 2, and 0. We just repeat the process. Bring the 3 down. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Combine is negative 4. Negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 6. It's going to be positive 8. 2 times 4 is 8. Combine makes 8. So your polynomial is going to be 3x minus 4 with an 8 remainder. And 8 was our remainder. We could have just plugged in negative 2 and found our remainder, but in this case we did it with synthetic division. Again, we could have plugged in negative 2. 2 squared is 4 times 3 is 12 minus 4, because that's when you multiply by 2 times negative 2 makes minus 4. That also turns out to be 8. So you can either use synthetic division or the remainder theorem to find the remainder. Now, finding zeros of functions. A zero is simply a number that, when you plug it in, gives an answer of 0. Okay, suppose you have x squared minus 3x plus 2. Check and see, is 1 a 0? Well, when you plug in 1, you get 1 squared minus 3 plus 2, which makes 0. So yes, it is 0. Plug in 2. 2 squared is 4. 3 times 2 is 6. So it's 4 minus 6 plus 2. That is 0. So that's a 0. Negative 1. Negative 1 squared is 1. Plus 3 plus 2 does not make 0. So it's not a 0. Zeros come out to be 0 when you are working through the problem. Okay, then back to synthetic division. Show if x plus 1 is a factor, and then factor it completely. So if you have x cubed, so we have a 1, a 3, a negative 1, and a negative 3. Now, factors don't have remainders, so we're shooting for something that does not have a remainder in this case. So if we break our 1 down, gives you negative 1, gives you 2, gives you negative 2, negative 3, positive 3, and 0. So now we're going to take our polynomial that's left, which is x squared plus 2x minus 3. We take our x minus 1, turn it into plus 1, so it's x plus 1 times x squared plus 2x minus 3, and x squared factors into x times x. 3 factors into 3 times 1, and when you combine that, it gives you positive 2. So it's x plus 1 from the outside. Don't forget this outside is going to give you a factor. And then you take the bottom, gives you 2 more factors when you factor them. So it's x plus 1, x plus 3, and x minus 1. So those are the factors, and that concludes the section.